Like, I didn't even time that. I hit record and it just came out. I'm sorry. But I do have good news, okay? We're checking out some more BRIDEZILLAS today. So those are a fan favorite. So forgive me for my burp, okay? Mate, this was a coworker, a corker. This was a corker, one that kept us very entertained. Gawker obtained emails circulated from the bride to her bridal party, and you can read the full thing here, okay, in which she detailed that her bridesmaids were to be subjected to weigh-ins, protein weight gainer diets for those currently skinnier than the bride, strict bedtimes to avoid saggy, baggy eyes, and any hair coloring / cutting plans to being submitted for the bride for pre-approval. But shock horror, one of the bridesmaids did dare to get her hair cut without checking in with the bride. She was called a bad little bee and eventually banished from the bridal party. Then the bride floated the idea for daily Google Docs for the bridal party to share their daily calorie intake, no joke, and wanted to check all bridesmaids were on a rice, cake, and water diet in the days leading up to. This is absurd, okay? The only way I would ever consider any of that, I'm talking like a big movie role, and where like the role requires you to be a certain way. This is nonsense, unhealthy, and an absolute. My best friend's coworker is getting married later this year, and oh man, this girl's got some problems. She's very religious and pure. Pure. Is anyone pure? Which, if that's your thing, is fine. Whatever. However, she told my friend last week that she doesn't want anyone at her wedding who was born out of wedlock, which includes my friend who is the daughter of a teen mom. Like, can't we all just have our own beliefs and not judge others if theirs don't match ours? Like, I don't understand why we can't just do that. Worked at a reception venue, one event really sticks out. Everything went well until the cake. Bride and groom go to feed each other. She does it very nice. He smashes it into her face. Bride screams, starts bawling her eyes out, and runs out of the hall. 15 or so minutes later, the father of the bride comes and asks the DJ for the mic. He proceeds to thank everyone for coming and says that if they would like to take their gifts on the way out, the couple has decided to break up. I'm sure there were issues leading up to the event, but the bride had told everyone, including the groom, that if he smashed the cake in her face, it was over. She wasn't lying. Oh my God. Oh, I would not be okay if he smashes that in my face. Like, please, I don't want cake in my hair in my face. I just don't. I'm not gonna break up with him for it. I mean, technically at that point, it's not a breakup, it is a divorce. I worked in alterations at a chain bridal store for a couple years. The amount of stuff I saw go down was ridiculous. But one of my favorite stories was the bride who refused to let me fit her in her gown because I have short hair and, quote, didn't want to be touched by a disgusting lesbian. You know, someone is marrying that type of person. That's what shocks me the most. I'm not shocked that there's people out here that would say something as gross as that, but someone is marrying her. That's my wife. The wife that just said that, that's her. It's way worse. 5, no one was allowed to wear false eyelashes except for her because, you know, the big puffy white dress doesn't make you stand out enough. Eyelashes? Do people even notice eyelashes on somebody's wedding day? Somebody tell me. I have never been a bride, but like, are people gonna notice if I have fake eyelashes or real ones on my wedding day? Or do people look at all that detail? Like, should I wear them? Somebody tell me. I was maid of honor for Bridezilla. Oh, bless your soul. I hope you're all right. She was a pretty awful person before the wedding. So there's no surprise she turned out to be horrible while planning it. Why were you like friends with this person? She was an abusive a-hole. The entire process of planning her wedding. She frequently would scream at me about not caring enough about the wedding, but would then paradoxically, not inform me of any of the decisions. We fought every day for hours for nearly a year about her wedding. I talked to the other bridesmaids and discovered she was doing the same thing to them. When the time came to plan her bachelorette party, everything came to a head. Initially, she wanted to go to Vegas, which almost none of us could afford. After that was nixed, we were having trouble setting a date, and she was being difficult as usual. She didn't like any of the plans I made for her and wanted some bologna that was really impractical and not very fun. Then I discovered she was lying to all of us about different bachelor party related things to get us to agree to take an expensive trip to another city. I was furious and stopped talking to her for about a month. On the day of the bachelorette party, she was 3 hours late to my house to leave because she went shopping. She ruined our plans and we ended up missing our dinner reservations. She proceeded to get blacked out really early in the night and we had to take her home and put her to bed. I haven't talked to her since shortly after her wedding. She broke me. Why are you friends with them? Like, you say she was a horrible person before the wedding, then why are you like agreeing to be this person's maid of honor? Y'all, life is too short to have like those kinds of people in your life. Like, it's not worth it. A friend was mad because a few days before her wedding, there was a terrible flood in a South American country, which somehow ruined her chances of being able to get just the right color flower for the centerpieces. Oh boy, oh boy. Surely you can find another flower. I had a friend that wanted a destination bachelorette party / weekend. I was interning at the time for minimum wage / part-time, so I was pretty broke. I saved and managed to make it work, but it was tight and I wasn't going crazy with drinks and shots and whatnot like everyone else was. She pulled me aside and almost kicked me out of the wedding because I wasn't being supportive enough. My sister-in-law asked her bridesmaids, me included, to gain 5 to 10 kilos to make her look better in comparison. I just can't understand that. I can also just not understand that. That is absurd. It's sad. Honestly, it's sad because like that bride must be so insecure with her own body and herself that it's sad. I worked as a bridal fitting assistant in a wedding dress shop, and honestly, 99% of the customers we had were absolutely lovely. Lovely. People were so happy, especially if they just got engaged and they were looking at dresses for the first time. Then we rarely had bridezillas. Okay. Probably the worst I ever saw was a woman who claimed her fiance had passed, so she wanted a refund. Then she came back in demanding the same dress back because they'd made up. Turns out he wasn't dead after all. Great, we're out here lying about their life, about them living. My God, my God. If you were having fights like that close to the wedding, like maybe we should reconsider the wedding. Oh my God, no. I'm a baker. This isn't my story, but my boss's. The bride wanted a 5-layer cake. The act of putting one cake on top of another is $60, plus deco fees if you want to look seamless, like a ribbon or something. So this cake is going to cost her a lot. Deco flowers are crazy expensive, so we always advise brides to use fake plastic flowers or real ones. This bride wanted real ones. She said they would be at the hall waiting on us. We do the cake just how she wanted and go to the hall to set up. The wedding planner is there too. We set up everything and start looking for our flowers. The wedding planner has no clue what we're talking about. She only had enough flowers for the table centerpieces. We start to panic. She wanted flowers and paid our fee for putting flowers on her cake. We start looking everywhere. Can't call the wedding party since, you know, they're busy. So we steal a few flowers of every centerpiece to fill the empty places on the cake. It isn't as full as it should be, but it looked okay. The next day she calls crying her eyes out. We ruined her wedding day and she wants a full refund. We told her what happened on our end and she cried / screamed at us that we ruined her day. My boss asked where the flowers are for her cake and she tells us that she never ordered extra flowers. My boss just laughs and explains to her that we told her she needed to provide the flowers. And it was in the contract she signed with us. I'm not totally sure what happened after that, but my boss tells everyone in the restaurant / bakeries that no one from this point on is allowed to book wedding cakes without her there to talk to the bride or whoever's ordering the cake. Probably for the best. At first I was like, oh wait, whose fault was this? But it's in the contract that you are to provide the flowers. So, you know, it's either a cake without flowers or we just take some from the centerpieces. That's really all you can do. She probably didn't even notice either. Like, your day wasn't ruined. How does that ruin a day? My bridezilla friend told me I wasn't allowed to take pain medication for my lupus at her wedding. She was afraid I'd be too out of it to perform my maid of honor duties. Okay, so I'll just die then. Okay. You don't want me to be too out of it? Well, not taking the medication is gonna probably make them more out of it. and unwell than if they took the medication. A bride and groom came into the store to get tuxedos. She said, "I need a penguin suit for my fiance." Now, I didn't give this too much thought, as that's not a particularly uncommon phrase, but then she pulled out a picture of a penguin, and I had to match that. She made him get a tails jacket and black vest, spent over an hour figuring out what shoes looked like the most. Hold on. This is a real penguin? Spent over an hour figuring out what shoes looked the most like flippers, and then made a special order of a shade for orange bow tie that most closely matched the penguin's little scruff thing. The 7 shades of orange we had were not acceptable. She mentioned to me in our conversation that she made her boyfriend make a $300 donation to the local zoo that he could propose to her in the penguin tank. Lady was crazy. Oh my God. I thought we were kidding. She really has an obsession with penguins. Like, you know, everyone's got a little something of an obsession, right? Like, there's certain things we all love, and like pickles are my pride and joy. I would physically die to save a jar of pickles, like, truthfully. But I'm not gonna like have my husband dress up as one on our wedding. That'd be fun though. I'm just kidding. I was DJing a wedding in a shabby little reception hall out in the middle of the sticks for a redneck bride and groom. The bride was wasted by the time I started playing my set around 8 p.m. She came up to me right away and told me that I need to play the song "Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy" like every 4 songs, and I tried to tell her that is a bad idea, but she insisted, so I agreed. That would get so annoying. About an hour into the night, I play the song for the 10th time and people in the crowd start to boo. Please note that every time I played the song, I passed it off onto the bride by saying something like, "It's time for a special request from the bride," as not to destroy my reputation. So people boo and start walking off the dance floor. The bride sees this and freaks out. She runs up to the stage and demands the mic. "You dumb heifers, get back on the dance floor or this thing is done." She wailed into the mic. Her guests ignore her. She yells again and no one pays her any attention. She then marches over to the cake and gift table and flips it over, screaming, "Everyone get the hell out of my wedding." Her guests, who did not seem all that surprised, end up leaving. I still get paid, so in the end it did not matter too much from my end, but wow, just wow. That reminds me of like when they play the cha-cha slide more than once. I love the cha-cha slide. It gets people into it. It gets people moving. Everyone come. It's a fun time. Once. We don't need to repeat that moment, you know? I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in my ex-friend's wedding. Okay, ex. They're no longer friends. Ex. We weren't as close as we were when we were kids, but she didn't really have many other friends, so I was nice enough to say yes. I helped her pick flowers. We had already chosen her dress and the bridesmaid dresses. Her wedding was in October. In May, I decided to move across the country due to issues I was having in the current place I was living. I told her I would fly back for the parties in July and that I would get the bridesmaid dress altered by myself and fly back again for the wedding in October. She responded to that by sending horribly mean text messages saying if I couldn't be there for the dress fitting, she'd find someone else to fit the dress, and saying it was incredibly selfish of me to move while she was planning her wedding. That's the last time I've talked to her since. Well, you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet. You were gonna go out of your way to fly back twice for the dress thing, for the freaking what? No. This was just the universe's way of saying, you know what, you're a good person. You don't need to deal with this. We'll handle it. I ain't getting out of here, you guys. Those are some more Bridezillas. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Hold on, I have a yawn. You're not boring me. You're not boring me, I swear. Am I saying a word? You're not boring me, I swear. I'm just extremely tired today. I woke up at 4:40 this morning, okay? I'm very tired. So we always advise brides to use fake, so we always advise, can you speak? The bride wanted real, can someone read for me?